What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. I'm exhausted. I just feel every single time one of these games end, I'm exhausted because it just wears me out with all the anxiety it brings. I just, I don't get it. I truly don't think Tuchel gets it. I don't think he has a clue what he's doing. I think he's gotten lucky in some games where some teams gave them the game, where it just kind of feels like they're playing poorly against us. They're not really doing what they need to do to shut us down, which most teams have figured out how to do that by now. And games like today and the game against Brighton, it feels like Tuchel's just sort of throwing out this whatever he thinks of on the day, and just like, well, we're not going to base this on anything else. We're not going to base this on past performances. We're just going to throw this team out here and see how it does. And it just, after the game's over, and luckily we've won, sure, everybody goes back and is like, see, Tuchel, he's got it figured out. We're winning games. We're in the top four. Huzzah. But, you really look at it, and it feels like he has no clue. Because, okay, so Bendy returns, good decision. That's fine. Chilwell returns, good decision. That's fine. Kante, that's fine. Mount pushes up. Werner, actually, in this game, I don't really mind. I still would have preferred Giroud, I think. But I think Werner, because of the fact that West Ham has the ability to step out, like they have improved a lot this season, having Werner up there keeps them a bit more honest. They have to stay back. They can't really push forward as much. So I like all of those decisions, but then you keep the same back three that we did against Brighton, which, actually, no, Zuma, I'm sorry, was in against Brighton, not Silva. So you've got a very similar back three. You've got Silva in there instead of Zuma, but you got Christensen and Rudiger again as the other two in the back three. And then you push Azpilicueta out to the right. Why? Part of your problem against Brighton is that we didn't really have enough creativity in the front. And part of that was because James had a really bad game, and we needed a bit more creativity out on the right side. So he said, you know what? I'm going to put Azpilicueta out there because he'll provide that creativity, right? We know him to be a fantastically creative right fullback, right? Like, that's what he's known for. You see the problem here? He's not known for that. He's known for being a good defender. And honestly, watching him today showed me why he doesn't make a good wingback. Because several times he got beaten behind by Fredericks because he doesn't have the pace and the quickness to keep up with a wing. What he normally does is he's already deeper because he's one of the back three. And so his defensive ability is just, he reads the game very well. He doesn't let them in behind him. And even though most of the wingers are probably a bit faster than he is, it's a short amount of space and he can put his body in the way, and he's very good in a one-on-one situation. If you move him out to the right wing, or wing back even, now he's pushed further up the field, which means that wing can get in behind him much easier, and he doesn't really have the pace to catch up after that. So not only have you put somebody who's not very creative on the right side, which now means from the right, we've already lost a little bit of creativity, because even if James has a bad game, he could still whip in a cross every now and then. So you've hampered us on the right side, and also defensively, you've now limited Azpilicueta because that's not where he's used to defending from. So what were you thinking? Because honestly, a lot of West Ham's best chances, well, to be fair, their best chances really came from our mistakes in the back. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But, the created chances that they made from their own possession came down that side. Fredericks getting in behind Azpilicueta, and then it's kind of he's having to chase back while Christensen is stepping over. If Christensen's even there, because there were a couple times he stepped into the midfield out of nowhere and was suddenly caught out of position, and there's a ton of space over there. So it's not like they created a whole lot still. Like, they still struggled to create chances, but we also set up in such a way where it's like we struggle to create our own chances sometimes, and we also made ourselves very open and liable to being counterattacked. And watching the game and watching some of the missed chances of the few that we created, it felt like it was going to be a Liverpool-Newcastle situation for us. Like, we were going to give up a late goal late on. That kind of, it's a bit redundant. But, that's what it felt like, and that's why I'm so exhausted after all of it, because it felt like that's what was going to happen. Until the red card, it felt like we were just going to give up that late goal because we were set up in such a way where it felt like we were limited defensively and we weren't really creating enough chances to feel like we were putting the game away either. And a lot of that comes down to Tuchel's decisions on personnel and even the subs. I mean, I'm thinking as the second half's going on, we're really being limited in our possession in the final third because we don't really have strength up there. Like, they have a lot of big bodies. We have decided to sit a bit deeper because now we're holding on to a 1-goal lead. So we're not really pushing out as much, which means we now need a bit more strength up top because they've got a bunch of big body defenders. So any clearance is going right to them because Werner, Pulisic, Mount, none of them are going to be able to win the ball in the air. So get Abraham or Giroud on. Nope, Ziyech on first. Because he's got a lot of strength, right? Like, I don't know if he was thinking, let's get it over the top and try to go in behind him at this point, but our clearances are not making it over the top. They're just not. So we need somebody up there who's going to be able to flick it on to somebody making a run in behind, like a Giroud. But no, let's go with Ziyech. A like-for-like change. Pulisic off, Ziyech on. Which honestly is a little bit of a downgrade in Ziyech's current run of form. Like, Pulisic is just so much better right now than Ziyech is. So all you're really doing is just like-for-like sub, fresh legs, that's it. And then James on for Azpilicueta. So, again, just switching out positions. Now you've got somebody who is a little bit more creative going forward than Azpilicueta, but also you're holding on to a 1-goal lead. So why does it make sense to make a slightly more attacking change? And then finally, with 3 minutes left in the game, he puts Abraham on. It's like, yeah, I mean, sure, now it's easy to make that sub because they're man down. But where was this sub earlier on? We needed this sub earlier on. If not Abraham, then Giroud. One of the two. It just, I don't know. We make it... It feels like Tuchel makes it more difficult for us to play sometimes in the way he sets us up. Whether he's taking players out of position, whether he's not making the subs that are going to make us more creative or better solid defensively. It just feels like he's lost at times. And it's funny because I said that looking at the lineup, and of course all of the Chelsea cheerleaders on Facebook came to Tuchel's defense like, you're clueless, you don't know what you're talking about, without really giving me an answer. And the ones that did give me an answer as to why they think Tuchel did what he did, it was, oh, well, he's resting players for Champions League. Who is he resting? Really, who is he resting? With this lineup, James isn't in, so I guess he could be resting him, but even so, I don't know if I really want James to play. He's not been at the best of his game. I think Hudson-Odoi's better right now. So you could say he's resting James, but aside from that, everybody else is a starter. So who the hell is he resting? That's the dumbest decision. It's the dumbest reason I heard. It was basically the only reason I heard as to why he made these dumb decisions. Because honestly, I don't know. It doesn't make sense when you really think about it because all of this felt like a first team. It's just that one decision to move Azpilicueta outside kind of made the game a lot tougher for us. So, I don't know. Anyways, I know I went on a bit of a rant. I apologize for that. But yeah, let's talk about the red card real quick. Terrible decision. It's just, I don't know. You could see the difference between that one and the one that Soufal put in on Rudiger, moments later. Soufal definitely, his foot hit him, and then he pulled away quicker than Balbuena did. But really watch it. I mean, he's clearing, and then, yeah, his foot catches him. But as soon as his foot catches him, it's not like he can just, oh, well, let me take my foot off, and then what? Let me just fall backward. It's tough for him because he's already falling, and then his foot catches Chilwell. I've seen some that are similar to that haven't given reds that are definitely red. The one that Stones got, you could really see he went in dangerously. It wasn't like he cleared it and then his foot was high afterward, shortly afterwards. It was he slid in, cleared it, and then his foot goes into the guy's knee and it's through him as well. This was his follow-through catches Chilwell, and then he kind of goes down with Chilwell. It's not like he's going through him. It's not like he's lunging in. There's no reason that should be a red. That was a dumb decision, and I honestly felt like it was going to be one of those things where because the referee made a dumb decision for them, it was just going to bite us in the butt, and they were going to score a late one to kind of get back at us, the karma of it. Thankfully that didn't happen, but yeah, that silly decision. I really don't understand what VAR or Kavanaugh saw. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Individuals. So Mendy had to make a few saves today, and looked very confident again with his saves, with his pulls out of the air. But his distribution has got to improve. There are just so many moments where it feels like, whether it's with his hands, whether it's with his feet, it feels like he's just making bad decisions and putting us under more pressure and giving the ball right back to West Ham. That's got to improve. I mean, you've got to be better than giving it to them, because honestly, it's what I said about Kepa in the Brighton game. His decisions with his feet were very poor, and it put us under bad, pressure. And so you want to see your keeper making better decisions. Honestly, I don't mind if his clearances or his passes go out of bounds, because that's different. Now, yeah, they have possession, but they have a throw-in. It's not like you gave it to their striker and now they're running back at us. But that's what he was doing today. So, I don't know. It's just, I don't know who's in charge of the distribution training at their practices, but whoever it is, I mean, he's got to step their game up, because it's not been good. Back three, I thought all of them were solid enough. Christensen, like I said, there were a couple times where he got pulled out of position, and that's just, it's what he does too much, in my opinion. There's too many times where he's stepping into a position, he's tracking a guy, and that just opens up space for somebody else. And while I completely understand, you don't want to leave that guy unmarked, at the same time, that's why you have different positions. If he runs into another area where somebody else should be tracking him, you got to let them know. But instead, he takes it on himself, but that pulls him out of position. So it's just got to be better decision-making from him. Whether he's got to step up, take charge, and say, hey, Thiago, that's your man now, or Jorginho, Kante, that's your man now. Whatever he's got to do, he's got to figure it out, because it's becoming way too easy to pull him out of position. It has been in the past, too. And honestly, I have felt like he stepped up his game this season as compared to last season, but those decision-making moments are still popping up here and there, and it's not good enough. And it's going to hurt us in games against better teams. So, but Silva, solid as always in the back, reading plays, making great interceptions. A lot of really good moments from him. Rudiger, solid again. A couple of those moments still, but not nearly as many as I've seen in some of the past games where he just sort of gets a little crazy with some of his challenges. For the most part, he was very comfortable, very safe in his defending, so it was good to see. The two in the midfield, Jorginho, he's not. It was not as bad as some of his past games that I've been complaining about, but also not nearly as good as a couple of the games that I felt like he deserved a bit more credit than he actually got. But yeah, it was just very average from him, decent passing, but not great. And then defensively, he's never really a factor defensively. He doesn't really help us. He's kind of just jogging a lot. So it's one part of his game that I don't know if he's ever really going to be good at. And it's kind of scary to think about that one of your defensive mids is not a good defender. The best thing he's good at defensively is making the interceptions, reading the passes and stepping in, winning those. But he doesn't really do it enough to justify him being a defensive mid. So I don't know. I don't know why that's not something that's being worked on more, but I don't know. I guess I know nothing, because so many coaches want to play Jorginho there for some odd reason. Kante, very solid again. He's still quite not back to his best yet, but he's getting there. And it is disappointing to think that he had a really, really good game. I don't remember who it was against now. I forget. But he had that one really fantastic game where he was back to what Kante does best. And then he got injured at the international break right after that. So it was just very poor timing. And, of course, now he's struggling to return from that. So the past few games that he's played in, he's looked a little bit iffy, a few bad touches, not the best defensively, sometimes diving in a little too much. But today looked better, much more solid, much more comfortable. So hopefully that means that he's almost back to full fitness, because we're going to need him if, we have any hope of beating Real Madrid or PSG. Just being honest. The two wide men, Chilwell, I thought was very solid today. And again, I feel like he's really taking that spot from Alonso because Alonso's not done much in the past few games. And Chilwell, I feel like, has really been stepping it up and getting better as he's been playing more. So, fantastic game again from him and good assist as well. I mean, it was just that one little moment of brilliance from Werner and Chilwell that sets up the goal. So, good to see that he can bring that because sometimes in a game like this where we're not really set up to be dangerous and we're not really set up to create a ton of chances, the moment that you do, you need that clinical pass and that clinical finish, and Chilwell brought that, so it was good to see. Spilicueta, like I said, I don't think that's at all his position, and there were times when you could tell it's not his position. He works hard. It's not like he's not trying. It's not like he's going out there and just goofing around and doing nothing. Like, he still is giving help and he still is putting himself in good positions. But overall, like, you could just see the difference as when he's in the back three versus when he's out wide and he's a wing back. Like, it's so much different and it's so much less provided from him defensively and honestly in the attack too. Like, when he's coming up the middle and he has a bit more time to play and he's not being closed down instantly, he can move the ball pretty well. But whenever he's further up the field and he's under instant pressure from a defender, his rushed crosses and his rushed shots, like, they're just not that great. So, yeah, I was a little, again, I was very disappointed with Tuchel moving him out there. But for what he did today and the fact that it's not his best position, I thought he played very well. The three front men, Mount, Pulisic, Werner, all of them were solid today. Mount, back in his normal position, there were moments when it felt like he was giving the ball away a little too much, but for the most part, still that hard work, still that ability to drop a bit deeper and then get up the field quickly, move the ball quickly, and then get him behind as well. Like, he's all over the field whenever he's in the front three, and it just causes defenders to have to track him and have to really keep an eye on him and be like, what are we going to do? And it opens up spaces for other people. So he's just a player that is so much more dangerous when you have him further up the field, and he creates so much more of an opportunity for the players around him. Pulisic, similar, but his is much more about drawing the players to him with the ball and then getting rid of it and then making that run off of his pass. He's just very good about keeping possession under challenges, moving the ball around in the tight areas. Like, he's just very good at that, and it does make me wish we had another striker up there who could do that, because Werner, honestly, his passing is not the greatest. Like, what he brings is his pace and his ability to get in behind defenses. His passing is not what he's known for. And even Giroud, like, he can do the flicks, sometimes the quick 1-2s, but it's really not what he's known for. I honestly do think Abraham would probably be the best option for Pulisic to play with up there, as far as how he tends to play. But he's still a very dangerous threat to the back line, and it's something that they can never really just sort of let him have space. And they really had to tighten it in, and there were a lot of moments where you could see they packed the box because they didn't want to give him any lanes to run into, because the one time he did make it past the defense and into a lane, created a very dangerous opportunity in the first half. So they had to really make sure they were solid defensively, and they couldn't really step out a ton of people because they had to block off as many lanes as possible. So yeah, another good performance from him. He's slowly been getting better since returning from injury, and I feel like now he's kind of in that zone where he's just playing well, he's playing with confidence, and he's causing a lot of problems for the other team, which is great to have. And then Werner, not only did he score, but also he was just solid today. He worked hard. His touch is still a little iffy. Again, his passing is not what he's really known for, but I thought on the ball looked much more confident today. The turn that he made to set up his goal, when he slides it out to Mount, who slides it out to Chilwell, it looks like a striker who wants to keep possession. It looked like a striker who knows how to turn a defender. And he's shown that occasionally, but he doesn't do it quite enough. Today it felt like he was doing it more often. And it just felt like he was much more energetic. He was much more involved in the attack. Whereas most of the time, the best part of his play is not being involved in the attack and drawing defenders with him. Today, he was just linking up the play a lot more. It felt like he was much more involved in the defense and causing problems, and they had to defend against him. And yeah, it was a good performance from him, I thought. I still wanted to see a bit more clinical finishing from him, But it was better, and it looked better, and it felt better. So I hope that he can take this performance and keep the momentum going and the confidence building, because we need him to. I mean, he is a good striker. We've seen that he can be a good striker. He's just not really doing it consistently. So hopefully he can start to produce more consistent performances, because we need that. Because honestly, nobody in our front line, well, none of our nines, whether it's Werner, Giroud, Havertz, Abraham, none of them have really been consistent recently. So if one of them can start to provide some consistency, that would be brilliant. As far as the guys that came off the bench, Ziyech came on and full of energy. Like, it's probably the most I've seen him run recently, because he has been a little, I don't know, it's not like he's lacked energy, but it just felt like he was using his energy in the wrong moments. Today, it felt like he was actually applying that energy when he needed to. I still feel like there's more to come from him. I still feel like he's not quite up to his best yet, but it definitely looked better than he has been. But that could also just be because shortly after he came on, they got the red card, which now meant they're down to 10 men, so he had more room to work. But whatever the case, I hope that he can get back to his best, because we're going to need as many players as possible, since we're in 3 different competitions at the moment. So if we want to have success this season, we're going to need players like him to be available, so we have options off the bench that can come on and make an effect in the game. Affect the game. I'm a little tired, if you couldn't tell. Like, I'm tripping over my words. It's not good. And then James and Abraham were the last 2 to come on and just late on in the game. They're pretty much time-wasting subs, even down to James comes on, and then they immediately put Abraham up for a sub right after that, so the next time the ball goes out. Like, very clearly making it we're time-wasting. Like, we could make these 2 subs right now, but I'm going to keep Abraham over here. Okay, James is on the field. Go. Like, I don't know. I want it to be more than time wasting. I want it to be more than we just need to switch some players around. We need to get some fresh legs on, and we'll eat up a little bit of that clock. Like, give players time to grow and to learn and to get playing minutes under their feet. Not just we're going to make these switches at the end because we want to waste some time. It feels a little disrespectful, honestly. I've never really liked whenever teams did that, just sub just to waste time. I don't know. It feels disrespectful to the player you're subbing on. It feels a little disrespectful to the other team. And I know it's part of the game, but I still don't like it. I'm not a fan of that. But, James came on, didn't really have much time to do anything, but looked okay, I guess. I don't really remember much from him. Abraham came on, though, and, ran a lot. Definitely had a couple of moments where he looked like he was ready to play. He looked like he was, ready and to fight for that spot. So, again, I don't know why he's not been featuring, whether it's something that happened at the training ground that we don't know about, or if Tuchel just doesn't rate him. But based on the performance today, like, it doesn't seem like he's just giving up and he's just like, oh, whatever, sell me, I'm done here. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens over the next couple weeks, if he gets more playing time or if he continues to ride the bench and being left out of some competitions. But I was impressed from the little bit that I saw. I was impressed to see that he's actually fighting to win his spot back. Again, I know we're looking to get Haaland over the summer, but if we can't, because honestly a lot of clubs are looking to get him, and a lot of clubs with bigger pockets than us, there's no reason why Abraham couldn't step up and be our striker for the next several years, because he's got the ability to. He's just got to get more minutes under his belt. He's got to get more confidence, and he's got to learn how to play in different situations. You look at Kane, when he first blazed onto the scene, very much like Abraham did last season, he had those moments where it was like, he's going to be the greatest. And then he kind of faded away for a little bit, but then he learned to adapt and adjust his game, and now he's back to being one of the best strikers in the league. I feel like Abraham could run that same route. So why not give him the ability and the chance to? So I could rant for a while about some of Tuchel's decisions, but I feel like I've done enough for today. So, but all in all, it's good to get the win at least. I'm glad we are getting some of these wins, but it definitely still feels like we're not really figuring things out yet. And I don't know. I'm worried that if we don't get things figured out soon, we're going to struggle near the end of the season. I really seriously doubt that we're going to win the Champions League. I'm not saying it's impossible. Highly improbable, though. I mean, just based on, again, how well PSG are playing at the moment, I don't see anybody beating them. And even then, while Real Madrid, this is a good year for us to be playing them because they are not at the top of their game this season, they're still really good. They showed that when they crushed Liverpool. So, I mean, it's just, we don't really have a good chance at winning the Champions League. I'd like for us to at least get things settled in our own backyard so that way we can focus on getting that top 4 position. And also, winning the FA Cup would be great too because we need a trophy, I think, this season. So, I don't know. I worry that a lot of people are just like, oh, well, we're winning, so Tuchel, he's fine. He's doing a good job. We need to just accept it. No, I don't accept mediocre play. I don't accept edging games because we put ourselves in a tight position. I think Tuchel needs to look at what he's doing. He needs to look at the drawing board and figure out what's going wrong. Figure out why we're not firing. Figure out what we need to adjust and do that can help us be more clinical and keep us from looking so shaky at times in the back. Like, very simple decisions could fix that, I feel like. But, I don't know. It seems like he just has in mind what he wants to do. He'd rather have James out there. He doesn't want to try Hudson-Odoi that much, even though Hudson-Odoi has had some really good games, whether it's up in the front 3 or out wide. I just said I wasn't going to rant about Tuchel, and here I am doing it. I apologize. Sometimes I just get so worked up, I can't stop myself, and I just get going, and it's time to end the review. So, what did you guys think about the game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.